diplomatic situation. Dhṛtarāṣṭra was unlawfully occupying the throne after the death of King Pandu, despite the presence of Pandu's sons. Akrura could understand very well that ill-motivated Dhṛtarāṣṭra was much inclined in favor of his own sons. In fact, Dhṛtarāṣṭra had already usurped the kingdom and was now intriguing to dispose of the 5 Pandava brothers. Akrura knew that all the sons of Dhṛtarāṣṭra, headed by Duryodhana, were very crooked politicians. Dhṛtarāṣṭra did not act in accordance with the good instructions given by Bhishma and Vidura. Instead, he was being conducted by the ill instructions of such persons as Krsna and Shakuni. Akrura decided to stay in Hastinapura for a few months to study the whole political situation. Gradually, Akrura learned from Kunti and Vidura that the sons of Dhṛtarāṣṭra were intolerant and envious of the 5 Pandava brothers because of their extraordinary learning in military science and their greatly developed bodily strength. The Pandavas acted as truly chivalrous heroes, exhibited all the good qualities of Kshatriyas, and were very responsible princes, always thinking of the welfare of the citizens. Akrura also learned that the envious sons of Dhṛtarāṣṭra had tried to kill the Pandavas by poisoning them. Akrura happened to be one of the cousins of Kunti, therefore, after meeting him, she began to inquire about her paternal relatives. Thinking of her birthplace and beginning to cry, she asked Akrura whether her father, mother, brothers, sisters, and other friends at home still remembered her. She especially inquired about Krsna and Balaram, her glorious nephews. She asked, "Does Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very affectionate to his devotees, remember my sons? Does Balaram remember us?" Inside herself, Kunti felt like a she-deer in the midst of tigers, and actually her position was like that. After the death of her husband, King Pandu, she was supposed to take care of the 5 Pandava children, but the sons of Dhṛtarāṣṭra were always planning to kill them. She was certainly living like a poor innocent animal in the midst of several tigers. Being a devotee of Lord Krishna, she always thought of him and expected that one day Krishna would come and save them from their dangerous position. She inquired from Akrura whether Krishna proposed to come to advise the fatherless Pandavas how to get free of the intrigues of Dhṛtarāṣṭra and his sons. Talking with Akrura about all these affairs, she felt herself helpless and exclaimed, "My dear Krishna, my dear Krishna, you are the supreme mystic, the super soul of the universe. You are the real well-wisher of the whole universe. My dear Govinda, at this time, you are far away from me, yet I pray to surrender unto your lotus feet. I am now grief-stricken with my 5 fatherless sons. I can fully understand that but for your lotus feet there is no shelter or protection. Your lotus feet can deliver all aggrieved souls because you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can be safe from the clutches of repeated birth and death by your mercy only. My dear Krishna, you are the Supreme Pure One and the Super Soul and Master of all yogis. What can I say? I can simply offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Accept me as your fully surrendered devotee. Although Krishna was not present before her, Kunti offered her prayers to him as if she were in his presence face to face. This is possible for anyone following in the footsteps of Kunti. Krishna does not have to be physically present everywhere. He is actually present everywhere by spiritual potency, and one simply has to surrender unto him sincerely. When Kunti offered her prayers very feelingly to Krishna, she could not check herself and began to cry loudly before Akrura. Vidura was also present, and both Akrura and Vidura became very sympathetic to the mother of the Pandavas and began to solace her by glorifying her 5 sons, namely Yudhishthira, Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula, and Sahadeva. They pacified her, saying that her sons were extraordinarily powerful. She should not be perturbed about them, since they were born of great demigods like Yamaraj, Indra, and Vayu. Akrura decided to return home and report on the strange circumstances in which he found Kunti and her 5 sons. He first wanted to give good advice to Dhṛtarāṣṭra, who was so favorably inclined towards his own sons and unfavorably inclined toward the Pandavas. When King Dhṛtarāṣṭra was sitting among friends and relatives, Akrura began to address him, calling him Vaichitravirya. Vaichitravirya means the son of Vichitravirya. Vichitravirya was the name of Dhṛtarāṣṭra's father. But Dhṛtarāṣṭra was actually the begotten son not of Vichitravirya, but of Vyasadeva. Formerly, it was the system that if a man was unable to beget a child, his brother could beget a child in the womb of his wife. Devarena Sutotpatihi. That system is now forbidden in this age of Kali. Akrura called Dhṛtarāṣṭra Vaichitravirya sarcastically because he was not actually begotten by his father. He was the son of Vyasadeva. When a child was begotten in the wife by the husband's brother, the child was claimed by the husband, but of course the child was not begotten by the husband. This sarcastic remark pointed out that Dhṛtarāṣṭra was falsely claiming the throne on hereditary grounds. Actually, Pandu had been the rightful king, and in the presence of Pandu's sons, the Pandavas, Dhṛtarāṣṭra should not have occupied the throne. Akrura said, "My dear son of Vichitravirya, you have unlawfully usurped the throne of the Pandavas. Anyway, somehow or other, you are now on the throne. Therefore, I beg to advise you to please rule the kingdom on moral and ethical principles. If you do so, and try to please your subjects in that way, your name and fame will be perpetual." Akrura hinted that although Dhṛtarāṣṭra was ill-treating his nephews, the Pandavas, they happened to be his subjects. Cool. Even if you treat them not as the owners of the throne, but as your subjects, you should impartially think of their welfare as though they were your own sons. But if you do not follow this principle and act in just the opposite way, you will be unpopular amongst your subjects, and in the next life you will have to live in a hellish condition. I therefore hope you will treat your sons and the sons of Pandu equally." Unquote. Akrura hinted that if Dhṛtarāṣṭra did not treat the Pandavas and his sons as equals, surely there would be a fight between the 2 camps of cousins. Since the Pandavas' cause was just they would come out victorious, and the sons of Dhṛtarāṣṭra would be killed. This was a prophecy told by Akrura to Dhṛtarāṣṭra. Akrura further advised Dhṛtarāṣṭra, "In this material world, no one can remain an eternal companion to another. Only by chance do we assemble together in a family, society, community, or nation. But at the end, because every one of us has given up the body, we must be separated. One should not, therefore, be unnecessarily affectionate towards family members." Dhṛtarāṣṭra's affection was also unlawful and did not show much intelligence. In plain words, Akrura hinted to Dhṛtarāṣṭra that his staunch family affection was due to his gross ignorance of fact, or his blindness to moral principles. Although we appear combined together in a family, society, or nation, each of us has an individual destiny. Everyone takes birth according to individual past work. Therefore, everyone must individually enjoy or suffer the results of his own karma. There is no possibility of improving one's destiny by cooperative living. Sometimes it happens that one's father accumulates wealth by illegal ways, and the son takes away the money, although it was earned with great difficulty by the father. Just as a small fish in the ocean eats the material body of a large old fish, one ultimately cannot accumulate wealth illegally for the gratification of his family, society, community, or nation. An illustration of this principle is that many great empires which developed in the past are no longer existing because their wealth was squandered away by later descendants. One who does not know this subtle law of fruited activities and who thus gives up the moral and ethical principles carries with him only the reactions of his sinful activities. His ill-gotten wealth and possessions are taken by someone else, and he goes to the darkest region of hellish life. One should not, therefore, accumulate more wealth than allotted to him by destiny. Otherwise, he will be factually blind to his own interest. Instead of fulfilling his self-interest, he will act in just the opposite way, for his own downfall. Akrura continued, "My dear Dhṛtarāṣṭra, I beg to advise you not to be blind to the facts of material existence. Material conditioned life, either in distress or in happiness, is to be accepted as a dream. One should try to bring his mind and senses under control and live peacefully for spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness." Unquote. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that except for persons in Krishna consciousness, everyone is always disturbed in mind and full of anxiety. Even those trying for liberation or merging into the Brahman effulgence, and the yogis who try to achieve perfection in mystic power, cannot have peace of mind. Pure devotees of Krishna have no demands to make of Krishna. They are simply satisfied with service to him. Actual peace and mental tranquility can be attained only in perfect Krishna consciousness. After hearing these moral instructions from Akrura, Dhṛtarāṣṭra replied, "My dear Akrura, you're very charitable in giving me good instructions. but unfortunately, I cannot accept them. A person destined to die does not utilize the effects of nectar, although it may be administered to him. I can understand that your instructions are valuable. Unfortunately, they do not stay in my flickering mind, just as the glittering lightning in the sky does not stay fixed in a cloud. I can understand only that no one can stop the onward progress of the Supreme Will. I understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, has appeared in the family of the Yadus to decrease the burdensome load on this earth. Dhṛtarāṣṭra hinted to Akrura that he had complete faith in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, he was very partial to his family members. In the near future, Krishna would vanquish all the members of his family, and in a helpless condition, Dhṛtarāṣṭra would take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. To show his special favor to a devotee, Krishna usually takes away all the objects of his material affection, thus forcing the devotee to be materially helpless, with no alternative but to accept the lotus feet of Krishna. This actually happened to Dhṛtarāṣṭra after the end of the battle of Kurukshetra. Dhṛtarāṣṭra could realize two opposing factors acting before him. He could understand that Krishna was there to remove all the unnecessary burdens of the world. His sons were an unnecessary burden, and so he expected that they would be killed. At the same time, he could not rid himself of his unlawful affection for his sons. Understanding these two contradictory factors, he offered his respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Quote, "The contradictory ways of material existence are very difficult to understand. They can be taken only as the inconceivable execution of the plan of the Supreme, who by his inconceivable energy creates this material world and enters into it and sets into motion the three modes of nature. When everything is created, he enters into each and every living entity and into the smallest atom. No one can understand the incalculable plans of the Supreme Lord." After hearing this statement, Akrura could clearly understand that Dhṛtarāṣṭra was not going to change his policy of discriminating against the Pandavas in favor of his sons. He at once took leave of his friends in Hastinapura and returned to his home in the kingdom of the Yadus. After returning home, he vividly informed Lord Krishna and Balaram of the actual situation in Hastinapura and the intentions of Dhṛtarāṣṭra. Akrura was sent to Hastinapur by Krishna to study these, and by the grace of the Lord, he was successful. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 49th chapter of Krishna, ill-motivated Dhṛtarāṣṭra.
Adi-Savamantikam Vandeham Srimudo Sri-Dhṛtarāṣṭram Sri-Gurun Vaishnavaṃ-ca Sri-Rūpam Sagravatam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Satīvam Svadvaitam Sahagarutam Vrindavan Krsna Devam Sri-Radha Krsna Sahagana Lalita Sri-Vishakam Tamsa Krsna Karuna Sindho Dīnabanto Jagatpate Bhutesha Bhutikanta Radha Kanta Namaste Radha Gaurangi Radhe Radhe Vrishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakopatarubhyascha Kripasindho Devacha Patikanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. By the instruction of Lord Shri Krishna, Dhṛtarāṣṭra has gone to Hastinapur and is described how he makes a careful assessment. He meets Dhṛtarāṣṭra, he meets Vidura, he meets Bhishma, he meets the Pandavas, he meets Alika, Ashwatthama, all the players he gets to meet, and he spends several months, so he gets to know all the intrigues. He makes a full assessment. And he could understand the situation that Dhṛtarāṣṭra was not following the good advice of Bhishma and Drona. Instead, he was influenced by rascals like Shakuni and Karna. And he gradually understood that the Dhṛtarāṣṭra and his sons were envious of the Pandavas. The Pandavas were extraordinarily capable in military science. They were also physically powerful, heroic, and so the Dhṛtarāṣṭra and company wanted to get rid of them. They'd already tried to poison them, and other intrigues were still to come. Then he met Kunti, the mother of the Pandavas. She's described as being like a she-deer among tigers, which was her actual situation. All these powerful men were trying to kill sons. She's there. She had survived her husband only for the sake of taking care of the boys, and now she's surrounded by men who want to kill them. So she felt helpless. Meeting Akrura, she began to cry. Akrura's yes, she inquires from Akrura. Then she asked, does Does Krishna remember us? Does Balaram remember us? Do my relatives remember me? Is Krishna planning to come to do something? And she began to pray to Krishna. My dear Krishna, although Krishna wasn't there physically, there's a word for this in English. There's a figure of speech. Probably no one else remembers it either. When you're speaking to someone who's not actually there.
In person.
Hmm?
In person. In person.
In person?
You say somebody is not there in person.
Yeah, when someone's not there in person. There's a figure of speech that's... Hmm? No. There's one Latin word, but I've forgotten it. Anyway, it's not important. So she began to pray to Krishna. He's physically absent, but actually Krishna is everywhere. We learned that in previous chapters. And she felt the presence of Krishna. So she's praying to Krishna. You're the supreme mystic. You're the super soul of the universe. You're the ultimate well-wisher. So I surrender at your lotus feet. There's no source of protection but you. One can be safe from the clutches of repeated birth and death only by your mercy. So I simply offer my respectful obeisances to you. And Prabhupada said that this is possible for anyone. Krishna is present everywhere by his spiritual potency. So we simply have to surrender to Krishna. And Krishna is already there. So she prayed feelingly, and naturally she began to cry. And Akrura did his best to pacify her, glorifying her sons, who were all sons of demigods. And then Akrura decided to go back to Hastinapur and give the report. But first he wanted to meet Dhṛtarāṣṭra. So he meets Dhṛtarāṣṭra and gives him good advice. You've usurped the throne. It's not rightfully yours. You were supposed to be just a caretaker in the absence of your younger brother. Pandu was the younger brother. Dhṛtarāṣṭra was the older brother, but he was disqualified because of blindness. Now, somehow he took the throne as a caretaker until the Pandavas would reach maturity. But now he's attached to the throne and wants to keep it and hand it on to his sons illegitimately. So he's being unfair to the Pandavas, and Akrura advises, even if you just see them as your citizens, you have to treat them well. You're the king. You can't show favoritism to your sons and disfavor the Pandavas. But if you disregard this, you'll be unpopular among your subjects, and you'll get all the consequences. You'll have to live in a hellish condition. There'll be a fight between your sons and the Pandavas, and because your sons are unrighteous and the Pandavas are the opposite, your sons will lose. So Akrura prophesies the outcome of the Kurukshetra war. And he gives good philosophical instructions that now we're just assembled here by destiny as members of a family, as friends and relatives, communities, nations. But we all have to give up this body, so this is meaningless. One shouldn't therefore be unnecessarily affectionate to family members. In the Bhagavad Gita also, Saktana Bishvanga Putra Dara Grihadishu. This is one of the items of knowledge, that one should not be overly attached. One should be detached from Putra Dara Grihadishu, from sons, from home, Putra Dara, from wife, from home. This family affection is the great enemy of spiritual progress. Family affection means the bodily platform of life. I'm thinking in terms, what is that? Griha kshetra sutta apta vittai janasya mohom yamaham mameti. I'm thinking in terms of I and mine on the basis of family affection. And the whole world is going on in this way, under the powerful illusion brought about by family attachment. Therefore, in the Vedic system, one is advised to be trained as a brahmachari. If possible, one can remain brahmachari. Otherwise, one may marry, but then one should retire from family life in due time. One should accept the vanaprastha ashram, and if possible, sannyas. So Akrura indicated that Dhṛtarāṣṭra's affection was unlawful, unintelligent. Every one of us has our own destiny that won't be changed by any family effort, combined effort. What is that? Deha patra kalachradishatma svanyesha satsvapi in Bhagavatam. Depending on fallible soldiers will not help us. So, pointed out here, sometimes the father accumulates money even by illegal means, anyayen artha sanchayan, just out of affection for his family. And then he dies and the sons squander the money that he worked so hard to get. So in this way, one can't, and it probably gives the example of empires even that have been lost this way. So these are the subtle laws of fruitive activities. And one who gives up moral and ethical principles, therefore, only carries with him the reactions to his sinful actions. Someone else takes his ill-gotten wealth and possessions, and he goes to hell. So one shouldn't try to accumulate more. Ishavasham, what is that? Tena chaktena punjita makradakashasvitana. We should take only as much as we need and not more. So, So these good instructions were given to Dhṛtarāṣṭra, but Dhṛtarāṣṭra said, yes, you're right, but I can't accept it. This is called Hridaya Daurbalyam. Shudram Hridaya Daurbalyam in the Bhagavad Gita. Hridaya Daurbalyam means weakness of heart. I know you're right, it's true, but there's nothing I can do about it. Because of his own weakness of heart. So that's the position of Dhṛtarāṣṭra. Your words just, it's true, but they don't stay in my flickering mind. That means that I'm a victim of destiny. A victim of destiny, but by his own weakness. And Dhṛtarāṣṭra indicates that I know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's come to reduce the burden of the earth. My family is part of that burden. So Krishna is going to destroy us. So he had that good quality, that he had faith in Krishna. And therefore Krishna will favor him by taking away everything. There's a line in the Prabhupada's commentary on, I believe it's Prayers of King Kulashekar. When, No. You don't know what line I'm thinking of. Prabhupada said, when the veil of material illusion is taken away, the dead body of material family affection is at once manifest. Something to that effect. If somebody finds it, so much the better. So Krishna will favor Dhṛtarāṣṭra by smashing him, taking away all of his sons. So Akrura, after meeting Dhṛtarāṣṭra, now had a thorough understanding of the whole situation. And so he returns. He's ready to return to Hastinapur. Krishna had deputed him to assess the situation. His mission has now been successfully completed, and he's ready to go back to Hastinapur and submit his report. Any questions, comments? Yes. Microphone. Back, all the way back. Hare Krishna. There's a switch on there.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for so clearly explaining the situation. In the modern kind of ruling rulers of the world, different states, do you think there are Akururas and Bhishma and Vidura there to advise such people?
I don't know. I know there's a lot of Dhṛtarāṣṭras and Shakunis and I'm not aware of any Akuras. Maybe they'll show up at some point. Mostly they're Tushkritana Mudha, rascals and fools. The leaders are fools and they're advised by other fools. Fools and demons. Prabhavanti ugra kramana kshayaya jagatovita. Yes. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Are there some other comments or questions? Yes.
I was wondering, how can we, in our preaching, this argument in this Bhagavad Gita, the Dhṛtarāṣṭra gives that it's an incalculable plan of the Lord to not become Krishna conscious or not follow Krishna's plan, as because he had a weak heart. And it said, Prakriya Kriyamanani in the Bhagavad Gita, that we're controlled by the modes of material nature. So I'm wondering how we can talk about that a little bit.
In one sense, that's an excuse. That everything is destiny. You might remember that in the earlier chapters, when Kamsa sees Durga, he realizes, or he's told, that you're such a fool, and then he becomes repentant and apologizes to Vasudeva and Devaki, What could I do? I was carried away by destiny. We're all in the hands of fate. It's a sign of weakness of heart that one blames others. The woman that you gave me of the apple to eat. Adam blames Eve. Yes, I did eat the apple that you forbid me to take, but what could I do? The woman you gave me enticed me to take it. So we all like to blame others. It's not my fault. It's my wife. It's my teacher. It's my friend. It's destiny. It's God. It's anything but me. I won't take responsibility for my own actions. So our actions are in our own hands. Karma niyevadikaras. Our actions, the results are not up to us. We can't control the outcome of our actions, but we have choices. Especially, we can look toward Krishna or against Krishna, away from Krishna. The acharyas make this point that unless we have that much free choice, there'd be no point in all these scriptures. It says, prakrite kriyamanani, everything's carried out by the modes of nature, while we think I'm doing everything. That's true, but we have a little bit of free choice. Otherwise, the Shastras wouldn't be talking to us. What's the use of talking to us if we can't listen? Or if we can't have in principle, have no ability to choose? Yatechcha sita takru, Krishna says, you can choose. From Yashaita to Sheshena, Yatechcha sita takru. I've explained to you everything, Bhagavad Gita, now decide what you want to do. So that much is in our hand. So, but Hridaya Daurbalya, on account of his weakness of heart, Dhṛtarāṣṭra's, no, what can I do? It's all fate. On the other hand, you look at it and say, well, it is fate that this weak-hearted old man is there, and he's going to be deprived of everything by Krishna's plan. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Something else? Yes.
There was spoken at some point, how was it? Something about that you'll fall down into hellish conditions of life. I was wondering, what do we see that as? Because you can become a plant or an animal, you can go to the lower planetary systems, or you can actually go to hell. There's a difference, right?
Well, there's all these. First of all, he's going to see all of his dear sons wiped out. That's hellish enough. He'll go from being king of Hastinapur, so with 100 sons, to being a poor old man, destroyed, living in the house of an enemy. What is that? Sambhavitasya chakirtir maranada tirichyate. For one who's been honored, that kind of dishonor is worse than death. So even in this life, he's going to be in a miserable or hellish situation. Who would want to exchange places with Dhṛtarāṣṭra after the battle of Kurukshetra? That's there. Then hellish conditions, there's so many hellish conditions. There are the hellish planets. There are the lower species of life. There are places on earth that are hellish. That's given by Lord Kapildev in third canto as evidence for the existence of hellish planets. We say, oh, these hellish planets, they're all just mythology. But Lord Kapildev gives evidence that even on Earth there's hellish life. In Vietnam, during the Vietnamese-American War, what kind of people were like being bombarded with fire, basically, napalm, sticks to your skin and burns you alive. We read about those kind of things in the hellish planets. But there was that place on Earth where that was going on, and there's still similar places today where people are suffering that kind of misery at the hands of other human beings. So even on Earth, there's hellish life. There's heavenly life. You can be living on the Côte d'Azur, or you can be living in Afghanistan during that war, Ukraine at the moment, or wherever the misery is going on. So as far as hellish life, there's lots of different ways that we can be subjected to it.
And how can we understand the difference between life in the lower planetary systems and in these 28 hells, forms of hell?
Life in the lower planetary systems, yeah. The 14 lower planetary systems, or the 28, and then the hellish planets below. Okay.
Yeah.
There's 14 worlds, and then there's the hellish planets.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know more than just degree. The lower planets are places of darkness. There's still some.
The 7 lower planetary systems, they're called
Bilsvarga, yeah. They're places of ignorance, but there's some enjoyment there, some false enjoyment. But in the hellish planetary systems, there's just unmitigated suffering.
And what determines if you go to that place? What determines if you go to that hell or to lower?
That's Yamaraj's business. He figures it out, who goes where. But basically, we hear in the 5th canto what qualifies a person to go to those hellish destinations. People object to the idea that there are such places, but still they think that, if there's God, why aren't the evil punished? Why do evil people go unpunished? The Pol Pots and the Hitlers and the Stalins. Why do they go mostly unpunished? Sometimes these despicable demons live to a ripe old age in wealth and prosperity. So where's the justice? Where's God? But then when they hear that there's hell, no, how could there be a God if he subjects people to hell? Like nothing will work for them. Just we have to be against God no matter what.
One last thing. I was also thinking of Indra and how he became a pig, I think it was at some point. So that was, in a sense, a punishment put into a hellish condition, but he experienced it as being quite blissful.
Yeah, that's called avaranatmaka shakti. Maya has 2 potencies, prakshepatatmika and avaranatmika, to throw us into bewilderment and then to make us think pretty nice. For that matter, we're in a hellish condition now. This body full of troubles, all kinds of difficulties. It has its psychological tortures. Even children are, there are always so many problems. Then adolescence is nothing but torture. Married life is another kind of torture. Unmarried life is another kind of torture. Old age, again, torture. And because we have a credit card and some illusions, we think, it's nice. But even in this life, we go through so much suffering. And avaranatmika shakti, we think, pretty good. But the demigods wouldn't change places with us and think, this is nice. I could have instead of these beautiful society girls, I could have a stupid-looking earthling as a wife. I could live in an expensive apartment in New York City and work 14 hours a day to maintain my family. They wouldn't do that. They look at our happiness here and they go, yuck, yuck. But we think it's great. That's our foolishness. That's the power of Maya. By Maya's arrangement, whatever we're put into, we think, not so bad. Still I can enjoy. That description is there in Bhagavatam. There's someone who's fallen into a well and there's like serpents and other creatures like biting at his heels practically. But there's a little honey dripping from a honeycomb above him and he's thinking, there's Maya.
So even when we are receiving these punishments in the lower planetary systems or in hell, are we actually still enjoying or not?
We're
not
never
knowing
enjoying.
We're suffering?
Even when we're supposedly enjoying, we're not enjoying. The camel is enjoying, but what is he enjoying? He's cutting his own tongue on the thorns and thinking, tastes good. So what is the enjoyment?
Maybe then not knowing you're suffering. Yeah.
Avaranatmika shakti. Enjoyment means not realizing being an illusion. That's enjoyment. If we get a little sense gratification, we think everything's fine. Therefore, sense gratification is the enemy of the conditioned soul. Something else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's lovely to see you again. I was thinking while the reading was going on that they were so fortunate. Krishna was physically present. They had access to him. They had his support, his, physical support in every way. What about us now? Have we got it as good as that?
Yes, Prabhupada says that in his discussion there. Krishna does not have to be physically present everywhere. He's actually present everywhere by spiritual potency. Krishna can do everything without having to be physically present. Mayacatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina. He's present. And the devotee who surrenders to him will feel his presence and be protected by Krishna, be guided by Krishna, be under the shelter of Krishna.
It doesn't feel like that sometimes.
It doesn't feel like that. Even Kunti didn't feel like that. She felt, I'm helpless. But still she had that, she's holding on, that Krishna's there. Krishna will do the needful. Now, Krishna may be physically present or physically not present, but he's always present. And it's only by forgetfulness that we don't see. So Krishna is there for the devotee. That Rakshasyati iti vishvaso bhoktritve varanam tata. We have that confidence that Krishna will maintain me, Krishna will protect me. The surrendered devotee has that confidence.
I was coming to Vrindavan today, about midday. I was feeling very nervous. For the first time ever, I've been here several times, but I was feeling very nervous inside and I couldn't understand. Why should I feel nervous?
Well, I don't know why you should feel nervous.
And then I was asking myself, what is my purpose? Not just for the week I'm here, but for the first time in my life, I was sort of questioning my purpose in life. And that has never happened before.
Good. When we ask ourselves, what am I doing? That prompts introspection. Introspection is good.
But I want answers. I want answers. I wish somebody could tell me that.
You wanted someone to tell you that?
Yes, okay. I do. Looking for it.
I think I've missed it. What are you looking for someone to tell you?
My purpose in life.
Oh, I see. Well, Krishna tells you that, but it's up to you. Yatechasita Thakuru. You can do as you like. But it's up to us to consider at any time, what is my purpose in life? Am I here just to satisfy my senses? Am I here for my family? Am I here for fame and prestige? Am I here for Krishna's service? Am I here for kind of a kitchery of it all? What am I about?
I think I've got the kitchery.
I think you're not the only one with that problem. But we have the process. And Vrindavan is especially meant for that. In Vrindavan, Prabhupada said Vrindavan is the one place in the universe where Krishna automatically reveals. We may be apprehensive when we come that maybe Krishna will take away my attachments. Maybe he'll bang me around. Who knows? I can't say, why we might be anxious, but that's maybe one thing. That what's Krishna going to do to me in Vrindavan? Where was I? Oh, we were just reading about King Indra. He surrendered to Krishna after the incident of the Govardhan Leela. And he was surrendering to Krishna, but the acharyas were saying that his prayers were somewhat insincere because he was presenting himself, I've acted just like a fool, I know I've done, but it's like, please don't hit me. He was thinking of his own self-interest. You've already punished me enough. You've already punished me enough. I surrender to you, O Lord. Please don't do this too. Please don't give me any more. But when Krishna, yasyaham anugranami harishe tadanam shanai, when he favors us, he reduces the fever of material attachment. We try to increase the fever and we think that that's to our benefit. But when Krishna really favors us, he knocks down the fever and we become happy. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have a question and a comment. We heard before that Akrura was quite far-sighted in terms of like foreseeing the future for the Dhṛtarāṣṭra and his family. Is this a result of the fact that he was a devotee of Krishna and therefore he has the ability to see the future, or simply his skills as a politician and diplomat?
What's pointed out in the text is his skill, his diplomatic skill. Excuse me?
I missed that. Yeah, I said I missed that.
Yeah. One could also say that because he was a devotee of Krishna, Krishna was helping him. But from another point of view, anyone with his head screwed on straight could have seen it. You know, Dhṛtarāṣṭra didn't see it. Everybody else could have figured it out. You know, it's like, okay, Krishna's on the side of Jayastu Panduputranam, yes, Yasya Pakshe Janardana. Victory is on the side of the Pandavas because Krishna is on their side. The Pandavas were all righteous. The sons of Dhṛtarāṣṭra were all rogues. So how much does it take to see the outcome? And later on they're going to fight at Kurukshetra, a holy place. So an astute person you don't have to be a mystic. If you look at what's going on there and you're astute and you've delved into it as Akrura did, you look at it and you say, okay, here's where it sits. You're falsely occupying the throne, you're usurping this, you've committed sinful activities to try to get rid of your nephews. Krishna is protecting them. They're powerful like anything anyway, just on their own. You're going to lose it all. You know? Like I've seen that in business. I have a friend who was doing business. He was a Brahmin by birth, and his family were pujaris in a major temple in South India, you know, by hereditary position. And he came to America, was doing IT work, of course, and making good money. And he invested his money in a food business, you know, selling some food items in New York. And everybody looked at it and said, you know, and he was losing money. And however much money he would lose, he still had money because he's making money at his job. So he kept investing in the business because he didn't want to lose his investment. Everybody said, you know, what are you doing? This is a losing business. You just, for so many reasons, this business is not going to succeed. Just get out. No, I could still do this, I could still do that. And that's the nature of attachment. It's obvious to everyone except us. You go after a girl, she's like married, her husband's an Olympic champion or something, you're a little skinny nothing. You know, where is this going to end up? Anyone could tell you where it's going to end up. But you can't see it. Some wit said that love is like an hourglass, with the head emptying in proportion as the heart fills. In any case, Akrura, everyone saw it, or at least Akrura saw it clearly, and he tried to help Dhṛtarāṣṭra. Dhṛtarāṣṭra couldn't see it. Vidura tried to help Dhṛtarāṣṭra couldn't see it. He had to be smashed, then he could see it.
My other question actually is regarding the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. We see that Dhṛtarāṣṭra is asking a question to Sanjaya. And we also see, we hear how Bhagavad Gita is the beginning of spiritual life, in a sense. Now, we see also Arjuna was put into a temporary state of blindness in terms of like what to do. Is the fact that Dhṛtarāṣṭra is at the beginning of the whole book signifies that everybody's blind at the beginning of spiritual life also?
I haven't seen that comment by the Acharyas. Krishna's in the book, he's not blind. So I haven't seen that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Someone else, there was one last question.
Maharaj, this problem of Hridaya Daurbalyam, it seems like when one philosophically understands what is good and bad, but he is not able to act upon it. So what is while preaching also we face some such kind of situations. We meet people who understand every philosophy, but they are not able to do it because of this problem.
That means past impious activities. Weakness. Just like if a person's weak because he's neglected his health, or his diet is bad, or this, so then when he needs energy, there's nothing there. Or even if he eats and so on, just because of his karma, he's got a crummy body, so he can't have. So he's got a heart problem. He has a heart problem. What is the heart problem? Due to his past impious activities from previous lifetimes, and impious activities in this lifetime. What is that?
Nemam Duskriti.
Namam Duskrita Namudha. Why is he a mudha? Because Duskriti, past impious activities. And ultimately by turning away from Krishna. Otherwise, Krishna is strong. If we take shelter of Krishna, then we become brave. We said we were going to end there. I think we will. Is that okay?
Yes, Maharaj.
So that we can have kirtan. We've been running real short on kirtan lately, so if we run too short on kirtan, we'll become weak in heart. And who's chanting today? You want to chant? Okay. And I don't need this.
Yes.
There we go.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Dhṛtarāṣṭra Thakur Ki Jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki jai Vrindavan Dham ki jai Navadip Dham ki jai Jagannath Puri ki jai Ganga Mai ki jai Jamana Mai ki jai Tulsi Devi ki jai Bhakti Devi ki jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.